Om. Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyagravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti stithani cha yatraivo pashamamyanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. So where are we in our text?
We're in chapter 16, verse 17-18.
What page would that be, Mark?
Page 163.
Okay, thank you. Should I start?
Please.
Evam ukva munau yate raja swayam achintayat dehamatram aham nasmi hastapadadhya chetanam kamendriyani naivaham nacha karmendriyani me jadanyat tat swarupani nacha buddhindriyamyaham. Having said thus, when the sage was gone, the king reflected within himself, I am not the mere body which consists of hands, feet, and the like, and is insentient. I am not also the organs of action, mouth, hands, legs, and the generative and excretory organs. Nor do the organs of action belong to me, who am of the nature of being consciousness. I am not also the organ of perception, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, which are insentient and of unreal nature.
So here we have very briefly, remember this is an abridgment, the whole idea of Atma Vichara. It's exhaustively done in Vivekachudamani. I'm not the body or its parts. I'm not the prana. I'm not the feelings. I'm not the intellect. Here, I'm not the sense organs. Just quick review. Remember, we have the indriyas. It's a very interesting word. The indriyas means the sense organs, but it comes from Indra, the king of the gods, which is the mind, rules the sense organs. The reason we do that is, for example, if you've got an ache or a pain and you're totally engrossed in a project, you don't have awareness of the sensory perception. Who's had that experience? Yeah. So the mind has to be connected to perception for that to take place. So 5 organs of action, hands, feet, tongue, anus, and genitals. That's energy out. 5 organs of knowledge, sometimes called Jnanendriyas, Buddhendriyas, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Data in. That's the best way I've found to remember it. Jnanendriyas or Buddhendriyas, data in, Karmendriyas, energy out. And he sees I'm none of that. Why? Because they are objects of cognition. If has a beginning and an end, if it occurs in time and space, if it has qualities, characteristics, form, most importantly, if it is an object of cognition. I'm not saying it's bad. It's anatman, not self. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Naham evam shariradi shishtham alokayamyaham shesho vikalpahino hi vishuddha chit aham tatah sarvabhava gata sukshma bhava bhava vivarjita sa eva bhagavan atma tanturmak tanturmukta sve va sthitah. I am thus not the body and the like. I shall consider what is left. The remainder is indeed bereft of doubt or variety. Therefore, I am the pure consciousness that is contained in all thoughts, subtle and destitute of existence and non-existence. He alone, the self and the God, exists just as the thread exists within a row of pearls.
Yes. So withdraw our identification, withdraw our attention from anything that is knowable as an object of cognition. Neti, neti, not this, not this. But when I negate everything, there's nothing left. That's right. Yet you are not unknown. You are you. I am Atma, Brahma. This self is Brahman. Chidananda Rupaham. My nature's bliss consciousness. Asangoham. I'm completely unattached from all phenomena. And I am not a person. The jiva is not a thing. You don't want to get caught up in I'm Jim, I'm this individual, and God is up there or out there or over there. And I need to get to it or it needs to get to me. Those dualistic constructs, that upasana, no blame. But these are done for the purification of the head and the heart. But when we get to the deeper practices, what you're looking for, you're looking with. Now, what's so amazing, this shift is so subtle. I like to say the shift between the dreamer and the waker is very gross. You wake up out of a vivid dream and, oh man, that was so weird. It's gone. and now you're the waker. But when I thin out the mind, and let the faulting subside, and then notice the knower. I can't find a person in there. I just find Chidakasha, the space of pure awareness. Where did that person go? They disappeared just as definitely as the dreamer disappeared when I became the waker. But it's so subtle. Such is the nature of ignorance. In a trice, it can come back. Someone can have that experience. And yeah, Jim, but what should I do about my roommate? I get so upset and they're really not being very kind to me. And then what I have to do about my career, and then what am I going to do about my fine? And all of a sudden, that dream ego called Jim or Wendy or Mina is back. It's just like in the morning. Have you ever done this? You wake up and you've had a dream and you just kind of roll over, just 10 more minutes. And you punch the pillow and you go back into the same dream. Who's had that experience? That's what it's like. We go back into the dream of Ahamkara. Next verse.
इति ज्ञात्वा किरातेषु लेभे पदम् अनुत्तमम् विवेकाध्यवसायेन भ्राम्यण्यम् इव गाधिजः. Thus, having known the king of the Kirata obtained the highest abode or position, just as the son of Gadi or Rishi Vishwamitra obtained Brahmanahood by discerning mental effort.
Yeah. So again, what is the requisite for being able to see who I am? Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind. How do we get it? Viveka, Vairagya. You have to really want it. Momokshatva. And be steadfast. Any thoughts? All right, next part.
Section 3. Paridhena Sanvadaha, the conversation with Parigha. Babhuva Parasikanam Paridho Nama Parthivaha Sababhuva Param Mitram Suradho Asya Bhupatehe. There was a king of the Parasikas, Persians, by name Parigha. He was a great friend of this king Suradhu.
Going on.
Kadachit Jata Durbhiksham Rajyam Tyaktva Vanam Gataha Bhakshan Shushka Parnani Parnada Paridha Smritaha. At one time, he went to the forest, having left the country in which famine had occurred. Eating dry leaves, Parigha was remembered as the leaf eater.
Going on.
Tato Varsha Sahasrena Tapasa Darunatmana Abhyasa Vashata Prapta Jnanam Atma Prasadajam. Then, in 1,000 years, by austerity, which was hard or intense in character, he obtained knowledge born of tranquility of the mind through the power of spiritual practice.
Yes. So one of the things that I think is interesting about this story, I never grasped at first, but the king is a Parsi.
Mhm.
So this is probably written before Muslims got to what's now Iran. There are Parsis in India. I think they're Zoroastrians is what they are. But the idea here is you can be a yogi without being a Hindu. There's hope for us. Yay. Going on. And when they say 1,000 years, all of this in literature just means really long time.
Ekada paridgha prapa sadanam suraghormuda te tatra praktane mitre anyonyam idamuchatahu. Once Parikha went to the palace of Surhu with joy. There the twofold friends spoke this to one another.
So we get a conversation between these two royal friends going on.
Parikha uvacha jnanam etat maya praptam tvaya jnanam yatha pura kachit karoshi samaya suprasanna garibharaya drishtya subhaga karyani karmanyeva naradhipa apatar maniye च कच्चित् भोगे न सज्जसि कच्चिच्चोपशमं श्रेय समाधिम् अनुतिष्ठसि. This knowledge has been obtained by me just as knowledge was obtained formerly by you. King, I hope that you do with equal vision, which is clear and deep, only actions which have a blessed motive. I also hope that you are not attached to enjoyments which are pleasant only until they cause your downfall or for the passing moment. Further, I hope that you practice absorption in absolute consciousness or samadhi, which is tranquility and supreme felicity.
Well, I'm sure his intention was good. It's a little bit codependent here, but who's to say? Now, I think one of the reasons this is of value to hear about it, one of them being a Parsi. Now, I'm not sure. I think Meher Baba was a Parsi, and he studied with Shirdi Sai Baba. Now, was Shirdi Sai Baba a Sufi or was he a Parsi?
I think he was Sufi. But they say I've heard some people also say that he was born a Hindu Brahmin and became a Sufi.
That I'm sure it's possible, but the whole point of it is a woman or a man of realization, what their caste is, their culture, their religion is completely immaterial. There are many valid pramanas, valid means of knowledge. The Advaita Vedanta in the Hindu scriptures is only one of them. Only one. Going on.
Suradhu uvacha nitya prabuddha chittattvat udvanto जगन्प्रियाः आत्मैकतत्त्वसन्तिष्ठा सदैव सुसमाध्ययः तत्त्वावबोधो भगवन् सर्वशास्त्रिणः पावकः प्रोक्त समाधिशब्देन न च तूष्णीमवस्थितिः. Suraghu said, on account of an ever-awakened intellect, even though performing worldly activities, those who are greatly devoted to or resting on the one true principle of the self are only profoundly absorbed in absolute consciousness or samadhi always. Revered one, perception of truth or ultimate reality, which is the fire that destroys the straw of every desire, is spoken of by the word samadhi and not remaining in silence.
Yes. So, Tripura Rahasyam uses the term sahaja samadhi, natural or continuous samadhi. Now, does this mean that nirvikalpa samadhi is unimportant? Theoretically, it's not necessary. However, Shankara addresses it completely in Vivekachudamani. Swamiji taught it in Vivekachudamani. And for those of middling intellects, it seems that the mind will not let go of identification with the ego without it. Doesn't need to be long. And technically speaking, any of these moments when the mind is completely free from thought, doesn't have to be a long period. And the no thingness of I is evident. That is samadhi. Some jnanis are fond of it. They will spend a long time. Usually those who have destroyed their desires through years of tapas or in other lifetimes they have. But sahaja samadhi, natural or continuous samadhi, is the jnani who's many-minded, other scriptures will say. Meaning the backside of the mind is always shitala, always cool. There's never a forgetting of the self. There's the awareness of the illusory nature of the phenomenal world. So even though the person may work in the world, all of it is lila, sport of play. Any thoughts on this? Going on.
Akshubdha nirahankara dvandeshvan nupaniti nishrant nischanta vigatabhishta heyopadeya varjita prokta samadhi shabdena paripurna manogatihi. That state of mind which is quite full or totally contented is not agitated, free from egotism, not alighting upon the pairs of opposites, such as pain and pleasure, in succession, free from anxiety, devoid of objects of desire, and destitute of consideration of things fit to be abandoned or fit to be acquired, is spoken of by the word samadhi.
Yes. So this sahaja samadhi, this natural samadhi, this is what Nisargadatta Maharaj used to call Nisarga, the natural, simple way of doing it. When you have the effortless, obvious awareness that the self in me is Brahman. Bhagawan, Ramana Maharshi would say, just like the ordinary person does not need to do a practice to remember that your body is a human body. So also, when are you ever not you? You don't ever lose you. You never change. It's always the same. And what about desires and agitations and irritations? Just the mechanics of the force of the past maturing. It's not important. It's not real. Don't get involved with it. Take care of business. Do your duty. Most of us have to get a job. Unless you're a trust fund kid or you lucked out on an IPO, you know. If you're young, you probably got another 40, 50 years, 60 years ahead of you. You got to do something. Serve the society. Do good, be good. But only you can tell if you're fooling yourself and there really is attachment and egotism. How can you tell? Very simple, simple test. You get upset. You get angry. You get fearful. That happens to your mind, no blame. Welcome to the human condition. There's just more tapas to do, that's all. So the yogi begins to embrace these painful situations rather than trying to avoid them. If your eyes are wide open, you'll see, well, okay, I ran from it last time. Oh, here it is again. Managers. You can run, but you can't hide. You might as well finish it. Let it go. Let it go. Life is such a great group. So the heart doesn't move anymore. And if it moves, what do? How many times have I said this? Just don't do something, stand there. Just don't do something, sit there. Let the subtle body shake, rattle, and roll. Watch it. Stay in the position of the witness. See it for what it is, just the force of the past. Any thoughts on this? Next person.
Parigavacha Rajan Nunam Prabuddhosi Praptavanasi Tatpadam Sanshitalantakarano Karano Katahankara Viklavaha. Parigha said, King, you are certainly awakened or enlightened. You have reached the abode of that reality, with your heart or mind extremely cool or tranquil and devoid of the affliction of egotism.
So one person of realization can recognize another, not necessarily by the dialogue. It's in the silence. The sharing of that deep thunder of the silence. So he acknowledges the other guy, he has the taste. That's what the Sufis call it. So and so has the taste. I like that expression. Going on.
Suraghu Parighashchaiva Vicharyaivam Jagat Brahmam Mitha Prapujitau Tushtau Swaviparaparaugatau. Suraghu and Parigha, thus having investigated the delusion of the world or worldly existence, were gratified and honored uh, one another. Then they departed, intent on their occupations.
Yes. So it's not like we're buddies, we got to hang out together. You acknowledge one another, and they go their own way. Even the guru, you've heard me say this, is a temporary psychological device. A good guru puts themselves out of business. And perfectly tranquil, walks on. There's no long-term attachment or dependence on the guru. There'll always be love. But you have no need of the guru anymore. Going on.
Section 4. Swatma Samudharanam, lifting up one's own self. Kohyadhyatmamayo nityam, nityam antarmukha sukhi, nityam chidanusandhana, sana shokena badhyate. He who is ever full of the Supreme Self, or engaged in the meditation of the Self, who always looks within and is happy, and who always inquires into or contemplates on the pure consciousness, is never oppressed by sorrow.
No. So, what is the solution to all our worldly sorrows? Forget them. How? We are not healed by what we turn from, but by what we turn to. Remember what I say? Don't think about the elephant. Don't think about its long nose. Don't think about its big ears. Don't think about its massive tucks. Not one thought. So you can't say, I'm not going to think about sex. I'm not going to think about sex. I'm not going to think about money. I'm not going to think about money. It doesn't work. The very resistance of it draws your mind to it. So what's the solution? What is the first and greatest commandment in the Hebrew scripture? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul and mind and strength. And the second commandment is like unto the first. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love God, serve the society as much as you can, as often as you can. Remember yourself. Revel in yourself. And you don't have to worry about leaving the world. The world will leave you. God alone is left. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
यस्मिन् देशे गिरौ तज्ञो नास्ति सज्जनपादपः सफल शीतलच्छायो न तत्र निवसेत् सुधः न तत्र निवसेत् बुधः. In whichever country or mountain, the knower of that reality, who is the tree of the virtuous man, bearing fruit and with cool shade, does not exist, there let not a wise man dwell.
Yes, so it's phrased in negative language in the Sanskrit. It's clumsy in English. But the idea is in any place in the world where the science of self-knowledge in some form is absent, oh, that's a sad thing in the world. Or if it's oppressed, there is no greater blessing than a place where men and women of realization are plentiful and revered. Karl Marx used to say religion is the opiate of the people, and Indians have the inside dope. The culture is so rich in the technology of mystical experience. So rich. But America is doing pretty well. It's a paradox, you can spend all your time listening to the news, gloom and doom. But also, there's high mysticism in the US right now. We're very lucky. Going on.
न धनानि न मित्राणि न शास्त्राणि न बान्धवाः नराणाम् उपकुर्वन्ति मग्नस्वात्मसमुद्धृतौ. Neither riches nor friends, nor scriptures nor relatives help men in lifting up or saving one's own self that is sunk.
Yes. So this idea of Guru Kripa, Guru's grace, so the Guru's going to do it all. Oh, I have to love the Guru. That's a good place to start. Love the God, love the goddess. It's a good place to start. But it's not the quantity of our faith. alone. It's the quality of our faith. Oh, I'm totally surrendered to God. Well, do you do what the scriptures suggest? Viveka, Vairagya, Shamari, Guna, Mumukshutva. Oh no, that's just too hard for me. I'm just going to love God. No, we have a part to play. Purushartha, our own self effort. Now, it comes by God's grace, but we have to cooperate with God's grace. There are things that God will do for us, but there are things only you and I will do. Jim, what are you doing? I'm sitting here trusting God. What are you waiting for? For God to do my dishes. I'm just sitting here trusting God. God doesn't do dishes. But by God's grace, maybe I'll get off my ass and do my own dishes. Making sense? So there are things you and I must do. Krishna says a person raises themselves into the self by themselves, and let them not lower themselves. Kathopanishad says two paths approach a person. And I think it's funny that the locus of the movement is in the paths. Shreyas, preyas, Shreyas. The Sanatana Dharma, the life of intelligent living. Preyas, the indulgent life. Drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Gimme, 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 gimme. And this is not a moral issue. We don't look down our nose on people who are extroverted into the world. We just have a whole lot of compassion for them. Why? Because they're going to suffer. It's what it takes. We may have a friend, for example, who's extroverted into the world, maybe even a drug addict. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Mhm.
We can love them intensely, but they have to take the action. We can't do anybody else's yoga as much as we would like to. All right, going on.
Mano matrena mitrena sadaiva sahavasina saha kinchit paramrishya bhavatyatma samudritaha. Having rubbed or reflected a little with the mere mind, which is a friend and always a fellow dweller, the self becomes uplifted or saved.
Yes. So, did you say rubbed?
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful because it's, the Sufis use this. They use the idea of the mirror of the mind. And in those old timey days, mirrors were polished metal, not silvered glass. And if the metal, it's like old timey days. Did you, any of you have cars with chrome bumpers?
Mhm.
You probably are old.
Yeah.
I don't think they make them anymore.
I don't think so.
But you drive the car for 5, 10 years. What happens to your chrome bumper?
Get some.
It gets cloudy.
Yeah.
But you can get these compounds and you can put them on the bumper and, oh, shiny again. But you got to use a little bit of elbow grease. Or even today, if your car, the paint gets oxidized, if you keep your car outside, so you got to get some rubbing compound. You see, so we got to do that with the mind. We got to rub off those kleshas, those afflictions, those defilements. What are they? Very simple. Attachment and identification. When my mind convinces me that in order to be happy, I need a person, place, thing, or situation, a relationship, a job, a home, a bank account. Or I need to be fixed. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not a good enough person. Oh, how many of us have that one? I think I'm really a monster. I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief, and I got to fix myself. All of those things have to go. If I get rid of everything, there'll be nothing left. Who will I be? That's right, there'll be nothing left except God. Going on.
मनोहंकार विलये सर्वभावांतरस्थिता समुदेति परानंदा यातनु parameshwari. On the dissolution of the mind and egotism, there arises that greatest delight, which is the manifestation of the Supreme Being, existing within all objects or living creatures.
Yes. So the destruction of the mind, this is not a state of insensibility. The destruction of egotism, ahankara, the kind of thinking and feeling that gives rise to the feeling of a personal sense of I. So the paradigm we get in this text over and over again, I think I'm a person, Jiva Bhavana. I think the world of objects, Vishaya, are real, separate from me, and inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. And my life is about struggle, kartavya. This is the mind. Those are the three things we need to always work on. And if any one of them falls, the other two will. But most of us do an integral yoga. We work on all three of them. And when they fall, and the mind no longer is restless and discontent. I remember very vividly, there was this fellow I'd worked on and off with for well over 20 some years, crystal meth addict. And, he now is down to about every 7, 8 months, he relapses. And why do you do it? What's going on? He says, well, Jim, sometimes I just need a release. What does that say about the texture of his ordinary mind? So unhappy, so under control. I just need a release from rajas. Now that's an extreme form. But most of us in ignorance, that's our state. I've been calling it spiritual impoverishment. I'm not enough, there's not enough. When we can get rid of those three ideas, rid of the mind, rid of the ego, then the mind can come home to the self. Atmaramana can revel in the self. Or my new favorite phrase from Vidyaranya, Brahmananda Rasa Swa, tasting the juice of the bliss of Brahman. You can have it. Why? Because it's your nature. Chidananda Rupaham, Shankara thunders in Nirvana Shatakam. Bliss consciousness is my nature. That's who I am. That's what I am. Drink deeply from the wellspring that's within you. Always available. It doesn't feel like it's always available. Why can't I taste it, Jim? Because you're in love and want to smooch a snake, which is an illusion, instead of hanging out with a rope. Long as I firmly believe in the reality of the phenomenal world, as long as I'm engaged in protecting, defending, amplifying ego, I will never have peace. Any thoughts? This is not just my opinion, although I firmly believe it. All the scriptures thunder this. And you don't have to leave the world because the world is not problematic. It's just not real. Next verse.
Sa swayam yoga sansiddha paramavigatopama nagam vachasam rama hridyevehanubhuyate. Rama, that most excellent state, devoid of comparison, itself fully accomplished or perfected by yoga, is not approachable by words. It is experienced here only in the heart or in the inmost being of a person.
Yeah. So words only point. When I was in Jaipur in 2015, hanging out with Bhuvaneshwarananda, he spoke English, but he chose not to very much. Occasionally, people would ask him a question in Hindi. Not a big famous guru. There was maybe 10, 12 people there. He'd be in his chair, usually reading his paper, but in an incredibly deep samadhi. Teaching was done in silence. That doesn't mean he was doing psychic things on the inner plane. He may have been doing that. But that's not the real teaching. Next verse.
इति श्रीवशिष्ठसङ्ग्रहे सुरगुपाख्यानं नाम षोडश सर्गः. Thus ends the 16th chapter titled The Story of Suraghu in the abridgment of Vasishtha.
Okay, going on. Next story.
Saptadashah Sargah, chapter 17. Manonasha Prakaraha, the manner of destruction of the mind.
Yes.
Section 1. Bhasa Vilasana Samvada. The conversation between Bhasa and Vilasa. Vasishtha Uvacha Manasaiva Mana Kshitva Yadhyatma Navalokayate Nastameti Jagad Dukham Manashchede Sukhatmadihi. Vasishtha said, if the self is not perceived by destroying the mind with the mind itself, the sorrow of the world does not set or vanish. On the annihilation of the mind, there is the knowledge of the blissful self.
Yes. So it is the mind itself that destroys itself. The mind itself commits psychic suicide. The mind itself sees its own unreality. The mind itself sees, I cannot think a real thought. The mind itself sees that it's nowhere. Without the destruction of the mind, manonasha, there's no abidance in the self. And again, by the mind, we think these three ideas. Going on.
Suhridoratra samvadam Srinubhasa vilasayoho Pura sahya gire sanao Tapasau dvau babhuvatuhu. In this matter, listen to the conversation between the friends Bhasa and Vilasa. In former times, there were two ascetics in the forest of the Sahya mountain.
Going on.
Astam anyonya sigdhau Tayora pyatma javubhau Vilasa bhasa namanao Samam asita tayomanaha. They were very much attached to one another. They also had two sons named by Bhasa and Vilasa. Their minds were identical.
So there's the two dudes, they're good friends, they've got two sons that are juniors. And they're attached to them. Going on.
Mritau tu pitarau drishtva chakrate paridevanam tadastau tapasa kalam shepayamasa tu prithak. Having seen their fathers dead, they lamented. Then they passed their time separately by religious austerity.
So the two good friends, they both die, and their children lament. They're sad. And they do austerities, they do tapas. Let's see what happens. This is the fruit of their tapas.
Ekada sangatau tau cha yevan manyonya muchatuhu Vilasa uvacha vadakva shapita kala kachitte safalam tapaha kachitte vijvara buddhi kachit kushalavan asi. Once they met together and spoke to one another thus. Vilasa said, tell me, Where was time spent by you? I hope your penance was fruitful. I trust your perception is free from anxiety. I hope you're doing well or happy.
Yeah, so the two brothers separate for a time and they come back and check in. How you doing, bro? Let's see what happens going on.
भास उवाच कुशलं तु कुतोऽस्माकं संसारे तिष्ठताम् इह यावत् नाधिगतं ज्ञेयं यावत् क्षीणा न चित्तभुः यावत् तीर्णो न संसार तावत् न कुशलं कुतः. Vasa said, whence is happiness for us, remaining in this worldly existence? As long as what is fit to be known is not known, as long as the field of thought or the field of the perceived is not destroyed, as long as the course of worldly life is not crossed, so long, where is happiness for us?
So he's not a happy camper. So even though he's been doing tapas and austerities, his mind has yet to drop. So he is in a state where the world offers him nothing, but he has no bliss. So, it's almost, it's like the state that Ram was in at the very beginning. The world tastes like ashes. Nothing is of any value unless I realize the self, and I don't have it yet, even after all my austerities going on.
यावत् नाभ्युदितो बोध तावत् न कुशलं कुतः एवं तौ कुशलप्रश्नं कृतवन्तौ परस्परं कालेन विमलं ज्ञानं लब्ध्वा मोक्षम् अवापतुः. As long as knowledge has not risen, so long where is happiness for us? Thus, making friendly inquiry after the welfare of one another, the two obtained liberation, having gained clear knowledge in course of time.
So, just a little bit of an aside, I think the fellow who did this abridgment, he's really abridging his last stories.
No kidding. How are you doing? Not good. Oh, you're a realist.
Yeah.
That was fast.
So we don't know what happened in the meantime, but they both continue their practices and come to peace with him going on.
अतो वच्मि महाबाहो यथा ज्ञाने तरागतिः संसारतरणे नास्ति सङ्गबुद्धस्य चेतसः असक्तं निर्मलं चित्तं मुक्तं संसार्यपि स्फुटं सक्तं दीर्घतपोयुक्तम् अपि बद्धं भवेदिह. Mighty armed one, so I tell you that there is no means other than knowledge for crossing the course of worldly life to the mind bound by attachment. The stainless mind, freed from attachment, is certainly liberated, though a creature of worldly existence. The mind which is attached becomes bound here, though endowed with austerity of long duration.
Yes, so you can be chanting Vishnu Sahasranam for hours in the morning. You can be doing puja in the temple. You can have a very pure diet, doing all these austerities. But if in your heart, I want, fill in the blank, no peace. You hear me say self-realization is not difficult, but it's very rare. And it's very rare because nobody really wants it. when you hear the price tag. All you have to do is give up everything that you've ever considered valuable or sacred or worthwhile, without exception. Why? Because they're not real. And it is the attachment and the identification that causes the suffering. Buddha's Four Noble Truths. Dukkha Satyam, the truth of suffering. Life the way most people live it sucks. Noble truth number 2, Samudaya Satyam, the arising of suffering. How does it come about? It is kama, craving. It is trishna, thirsting. It is sangraha, attachment. It is raga, passion for things. It is dvesha, aversion. Noble truth number 3, nirodha satya. How do you end it? The cessation of the craving is the cessation of the suffering. And we prove it every day, ordinary people, 2 places. First, deep sleep. Oh, I want this so bad. I want this so bad. Did you sleep well last night? Oh, yes. Were you happy? Mm-hmm. Did you have your toy? No. And at the moment of the satisfaction of a desire, object of desire, yeah, that's a moment of the mind freed from the craving for a moment. Fourth noble truth, is there a way to be free from this permanently? Marga Satya, the truth of the path. Yeah. He calls it Marga, we call it sadhana. Same thing. It is possible. And as Krishna says in Gita, even a little of this knowledge frees us from great fear. Even before Sthita Prajna, steady wisdom, dawns on the mind, we get benefits by practicing these principles. But no amount of spiritual practices or austerities will bear fruit without vairagya. There's no other way. Okay, we'll stop here. What verse are we on for next week?
Verse 8, 9.
Verse 8, 9.
Oh, sorry. Verse, I think section 2. Yeah. Verse 11.
11, 12.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.